Hopefully just a small job today. My Wi-Fi controlled hot water immersion switch has given up the ghost, so I'm going to replace it. Hi, I'm Chris and welcome to the Handyman at Home channel. This is a wall-mounted Wi-Fi timer switch from Optimum. Bought it about 3 years ago to give us some remote control ability over the immersion heater. Mainly for two reasons. One, to stop us having to go up and downstairs every time we wanted to switch the immersion heater on to give some hot water. And secondly, to be able to make use of excess solar power. We got solar panels installed in 2022 and we're looking at a way of using some of the excess power. And it's worked pretty well since then. Uses an app on the phone like most other of these things, but recently it just seems to have stopped working. If I apply power to it via this pull cord, we'd normally expect to see an orange glow around the manual button here, but there's just nothing. Initially it just started to flicker and now it seems to have died completely. And trying to switch it on manually via this button doesn't work. And equally the app, it just is greyed out on your phone, so it just has died completely. So I'm going to replace it. So initially I thought I'd just replace like with like, but after having a good search around on the web I could only find one supplier with one in stock, and they were asking over £55 plus VAT, which seemed a bit extortionate to me, especially when I think the original one was around the £40 mark. Anyway, after a bit more searching I found this on eBay, which is a wall-mounted Wi-Fi timer switch. Looks pretty much identical from a brand called Low Energy. I think I've heard of them before, but I don't think I've had any of their stuff. So I thought I'd give this a go, especially considering it was about £20. As well as it being quite a bit cheaper, it looks like it's got a very similar footprint to the original Optimum one. So getting it out the box, hopefully you can see, they look pretty similar. Case is slightly different, but fundamentally I think they're probably made in the same Chinese factory. So first thing to do is to get this one disconnected. So I'll isolate the power, which I'll do through the pull switch, and I can take this one off. Just to be on the safe side, I'll check that there's no power. Nope. So just taking a quick look at the connections on the module I've removed, they're fairly straightforward: neutral, live and switched live. It's worth noting that there's a motor symbol, and that's for the module which I've just removed, which can be fitted to a gas boiler to give you Wi-Fi and timer functionality. It's got a standard connection interface here, so it should fit most boilers. But out of interest, I think I might actually take this one apart and see whether I can find out what has actually gone wrong. So make sure you're subscribed if that does come along in the future. But for now, I think we'll just get rid of that and we'll fit the new one. And the advantage of the new one is it's almost an identical connection interface, so hopefully should be fairly straightforward. So comparing the two modules, the old one on the left definitely looks to have a bit more of a robust, safety conscious design about it. The right one, the new one rather, on the right hand side, yeah, I'm not overly impressive. Screw terminals look reasonably decent, but I'm not overly convinced about soldered joints here on a device that can switch up to 16 amps. But we'll see, we'll keep a close eye on it, see whether there's any evidence of overheating. But yeah, certainly something to think about. Well, that proved quite a bit of a faff. As you can see, I've had to run a couple of lengths of 2.5mm twin and earth just to connect to the terminals on the Wi-Fi switch down to a screw block here, and then I've connected my flex to that. The cores of the flex were just too thick to bend round the screw terminals. Anyway, it's pretty safe enough for handyman towers. I'll probably end up putting that in some sort of little box just to keep it safe and secure. But for now, I'll just switch it on, check it works okay, and then I'll finish off tidying up some of the connections at the top. Okay, so we've got the blue Wi-Fi signal illuminated, encouraging, and we should be able to just switch it on manually. Yep. So I'll run through setting up the app in a minute, but for now that looks okay. So as I say, I'll put the cover on and maybe the strain relieves as well. Tape that up just as a temporary measure. Well, it was all going so well. Literally 5 minutes after I'd put the case cover on and sorted out the wiring, tidied it up a little bit, the whole thing stopped working. Wouldn't purr, wouldn't turn on through the manual push button, just nothing, completely dead. So I disconnected it all, brought it down into the workshop, had a bit of a mess about with it, but just nothing, completely dead. So anyway, I thought, well, I'm not persevering anymore with this, so it's gone back. And fair dues, they give me a full refund, but clearly a case of you get what you pay for. So what to do? Well, in the end, I thought, no, let's have a proper look around this time rather than just trying to get a like-for-like replacement. So I've bought myself a Shelly 1PM Gen4 smart switch, 16 amp capability with power measurement, which the other device certainly didn't have. So I've just been running through checking it out, figuring out how to connect it up properly. I've done a video on that. I'll post a card somewhere at the top, so take a look at that if you're interested. But I've satisfied myself, it all works really well. So if I just open up the app, I can turn, I don't know if you can see that, so I'm turning the bulb on and off. So imagine that's the immersion heater. That'll do. 16 amp capability, as I say, so that should be fine for the immersion heater. Right, so I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to put it into a dual gang back box because it just gives a nice tidy installation. The terminals, the screw terminals on the Shelly, you possibly can't see that, I'll do a close-up in a minute, but they're really quite small, so there's no way they will take the size of the flex that is connected to my immersion heater. So I think I'm going to end up doing something similar. So I'll bring the connections off the Shelly to a screw block and then connect up the immersion heater flex. Not difficult, and as I say, I'm putting it all in a box anyway, so that should be fine. Right, I'll get on with that. Okay, so we've got neutral in, live in, common the earth, got the neutral across to here, the switched live here. So basically I've got the feed in on this side of the block and the feed out to the immersion heater on this side of the block. I'll do a close-up, but hopefully you get the gist. Now, if you've watched the other video that I did on how to wire these Shelly devices up, you'll have seen that I wasn't intending to make use of the switched input. But having thought about it, I thought, well, if I'm in the bathroom and I need to turn the immersion on and I haven't got my phone with me, it would be useful to have a local switch. So I've decided I'm going to fit one like this. So I've bored a hole through the side of the back box. So hopefully this should now fit in. Just about. Got there in the end. It's actually an illuminated switch, but I'm not planning to use the illumination. So all I need to do now is connect this up to one of the live terminals on here and the switched input. So that's going to sit something like that. And I have my two flex cords coming in through the bottom there. Right, let's go and fit it to the immersion. Right, we're all connected up. Sorry I couldn't actually film doing the actual connections, but as you can probably appreciate, working inside the airing cupboard's a little bit limited on space. Anyway, I've got the feed in, which is this flex here, and then the feed out to the Immersion, which is that flex. I've put a couple of tie wraps on to try and give a little bit of strain relief, but once it's up on the wall it should be fine. As we say, we've got the switch there. So I've got the app open on my iPad. At the moment it's saying device is offline because there's no power to it at all. So let's put some power on. You see the red lights come on there. Okay, so it's now recognised the device, 244.3 volts, thereabouts, and 0 watts. So should be able to turn it on. Heard the relay click. We should start to see power. So 2.87 kilowatts. Turn it off. And then with the little switch on the side, put it in the on position. So it's come on. Off again. As I say, you can look at the charts for all the power consumption. We haven't got enough data at the moment, but there's a lot we could do with that. But right for the moment, just the basic functionality seems to work okay. Well, that turned out to be a bit more involved than I'd anticipated. I think I've worn 3 different t-shirts whilst filming this video. Anyway, I think I'm pretty pleased with the Shelly. It's a nice device, and hopefully it will last more than 3 years. I think it comes with a 3-year warranty. So if I'm still doing YouTube videos in 3 years' time, I'll report back. But anyway, apart from putting the cover on, as I say, job's done. I like the power measurement functionality, so I'm going to play around with that a little bit and maybe factor that into my payback calculations for my solar power. But anyway, hopefully you got something from it. A bit disjointed in places, I apologise for that, but that's how these jobs go sometimes. Hopefully if you did get something from it, give me a thumbs up, click that like button. Again, if you've used Shelly devices before, put a comment in, what do you think of them? And hopefully, if you subscribe, you will see me next time. Cheers.